all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Oh, save your claps. I got to get to it. There's a whole lot going on. And first thing is just getting you all caught up on the election and everything that's going on around it. And, this is so different than every other election you've seen. Usually when I say, well, we're going to talk about the election, it's like, well, how are they doing in the polls? What issues are resonating with the voters? But now we have, like, assassination attempts and candidate swaps and a whole bunch of other weird stuff going on. Connor Vasile's back on with Young Voices. And, the news cycle over the last 24 hours, how much of it is centered around this word weird all of a sudden, Connor? Isn't that weird?
I think it's pretty weird, James. I mean, this is something we haven't really seen before, but, if we look through the history of the left's tactics, this is probably just another word that they're trying to capitalize on just to ostracize their opponents, I think.
Well, the weird part is there's not really a cabal that sends everyone like a group text in the morning and says, let's all call them weird. Like, you can tell that they're just copying each other. Like, they're not having original thoughts. They're like, ooh, that's the angle we're taking on them. That sounds like it might be effective. I think I'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a compilation of all the various news shows, our favorites, MSNBC, CNN, etc., all of them, all saying pretty much the same thing, like you just mentioned. He's weird. The Republicans are weird. J.D. Vance is weird. So whatever that underlying impetus would be, at the end of the day, you're right. They have no original thoughts, and they're just doing this to push political propaganda. We don't even know what it is. What is weird about them? I mean, it's kind of like calling the pot calling the kettle black. I mean, we saw some weird things that the Democrats or leftists are doing. I don't think we should bring those up.
Well, I don't want to be so reductive and say they have no original thoughts, but whenever they bring up weird, that's not an original thought. They're capable of original thought. They just didn't do it in this instance. And this is a very disturbing pattern they have of all just in unison saying the same thing at the same time.
I think there's actually a strategy. Yeah, we shouldn't reduce it by any means. So what this strategy is, in my opinion, is you have a group of people who obviously they're not fans of anyone right of whatever their positions are, and they basically set the scene by using the word like weird or racist or mansplaining, whatever it may be, right? And they're basically dictating the terms of that word or phrase. So now in the election cycle, for example, whenever someone says the word weird, they're going to automatically think back to this moment where, everyone was calling this politician weird or this other person weird. So they're basically setting the scene for how these words will affect people's thoughts in the future.
You know what was weird? The Olympics opening ceremony. That was weird, Connor.
I think that was a little more than weird, but yeah, let's talk about that.
So we have Trump right before the show started. In the last hour, I was watching Trump in a panel at the National Association of Black Journalists. Now he's going into what turned out to be, and you probably could have guessed this, quite hostile territory. But I think it's a good thing that he is going in and, just facing criticism, sharing the stage with it. Do you think it's going to work?
I mean, he has to do it. Whether or not he thinks that's going to, garner him some extra votes or not, he has to do that. He needs to go through uncharted waters and basically show these people who, may or may not vote for him that he is not what the media is trying to depict him as, right? I mean, as we see, the one of the biggest tactics right now from legacy media is this Project 2025. Project 2025, right? He's saying, this is his plan. He's going to make a radical Christian nationalist government. And he's disavowing. He's like, no, I have no idea what this plan is. I don't know anything about it. So that's one tactic that he can use to really have some outrage to these people who are constantly inundated with whatever these media or these talking heads are saying and being like, listen, they're saying one thing. I'm saying another thing. You want to get to know me? You love me, hate me, indifferent about me. This is what I truly am. And him reaching out to these people is a good first step.
Well, we now have more than a full week's worth of polling in as Harris as the front runner. And with the body of information so far, it looks like they're getting a little bit of a bump on Team Blue, and a couple of the toss-up states are now leaning blue. Do you think that'll hold?
I think it's a little too early to tell. I mean, it is definitely working in their favor, this little strategy of them. But if the people on the right, these conservatives, want to take this seriously, they should focus on policy, Stop with the ad hominem attacks. Yes, we all know it's Kamala Harris. She writes her own jokes, right? But at the end of the day, they need to show that to these voters that they are the party that will bring America back, economically prosperous, socially, the border, right? I'm looking at the 2024 Republican platform. It's 20 simple points, correct? Very straight to the point, very precise. And then you have Project 2025. It's around 900 pages. So the whole, fear, the doom and gloom that's coming around Project 2025 largely comes from a place where people don't even know what it is, right? So these politicians and these talking heads on MSNBC, et cetera, they're basically just fear-mongering and telling people, oh, you should be scared because X, Y, and Z, because we know you haven't read it. Meanwhile, what Republicans could do, despite these various bumps for Team Blue, is just keep it simple. Focus on the policy. Remind Americans where they're at now versus where they should be, right? And they should just focus on that to try to garner in those independent votes as opposed to just, falling for these ad hominem attacks like the left usually does.
Yeah, well, and I also saw a report where someone was spelling out the difference between this Republican platform and the one in 2016. We didn't really get the proper machinations happening in 2020 because the conventions were canceled because of COVID and all that. But when you compare the two, I think if I remember correctly, in the 2016 platform, the Republicans used the word abortion like 35 times, and then in this one, they only used it once. So they've really backed off of that issue, and I think they've learned that that hurts them more than helps.
Oh, definitely. I mean, they saw the writing on the wall, and they realized that regardless of whatever principles they may have personally, in terms of, election time, in terms of garnering that vote, it's just not a winning battle. And, we all want less government interference in our lives. We want to just, live our lives, help and support our families, and just do the best we can for ourselves. We do not want all this government bloat. So if they just keep it simple like they did with this platform for this year, and they, enforce and try to act on their promise to kind of de-bloat the government, right?
De-bloat, I like that.
De-bloat. I think that should be a T-shirt. We should put that together.
I don't know. It sounds kind of weird.
But yeah, they should de-bloat the government, make it simple, put more money back into Americans' pockets, and I think that's going to be a really good first step, especially with a libertarian vote.
All right, Connor Vasile, I'll see you on Twitter, bud. Thanks for being on the James Show.
Thanks, sir.
You can find him on Twitter, Connor Vasile, that last name, Vasile.